Hello Recruit, and welcome to an Astroneer Academy Extra for Automated Research. This course was originally planned as a single pro tip in last week's course, but we realized that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to automating research. While automation is a topic we will not begin discussing until Astroneer Academy 303, we felt it was a good time to at least introduce the idea of automating research. In fact, several items we utilize today have not yet been discussed in Astroneer Academy. Rest assured, each and every item we talk about today will be included in upcoming courses. Research bites can often be one of the big hurdles to overcome early on in your adventure, so it makes sense to talk about this now. Plus, some astroneers enjoy the challenge of collecting a large number of bytes or producing research at an incredibly high byte per minute rate. Our goal today is not to present one best method for automating research or to introduce every possible solution. Rather, we hope to introduce you to a few options that will hopefully aid you in collecting the research bytes you need for your own goals. To aid you in creating these automated research solutions for yourself, we will show you several different alternative setups for each solution. We will also be discussing the pros and cons of each solution featured today, comparing each solution to the others. As a quick aside, many astroneers refer to automated research solutions as research farms. While many would think the term farm would be more appropriate for describing a way to grow various flora, it is an apt term for research as well. Even though many of us think of agriculture when we hear the word farm, it is a word that can be used to describe anything established to produce or process something. So the three solutions we are going to investigate today can all correctly be called research farms, though we're going to stick with calling them automated research solutions. I don't know, that just sounds more technical and modern and outer-spacey. Before we explore different types of automated research solutions, we must first ask ourselves a question. Why would I want to automate research? While it is an incredibly good question to ask, the answer is not really all that straightforward. At the time of writing this course, you would need just over 280,000 bytes if you wish to unlock every schematic in the research catalog. While this may seem like a lot, research bytes can accumulate faster than you may initially realize. Many missions reward you with research bytes, plus utilizing what you'll learn today and next week can help you gather bytes quickly. So, what do you do with all these bytes after you have unlocked everything in the research catalog? The easy answer to that is you save them for limited time events. We will discuss LTEs more in depth in Astroneer Academy 401, but for now, it helps to know that completing these events will require some research bytes. Beyond that, however, the answer to this question becomes a bit less clear. Whatever their motivating factor, many astroneers enjoy the process of amassing as many bytes as they can. Some will set goals for themselves of reaching hundreds of thousands, if not millions or even a billion research bytes. While you would most likely be unable to ever consume such a staggering number of research bytes in any practical use case, you may find satisfaction in meeting an ambitious goal. Two of the three solutions we will present today are incredibly useful for those who are seeking the challenge of collecting a lot of bytes or achieving an incredibly high bytes per minute research rate, while the other solution is aimed more towards an astroneer simply wanting to collect some bytes to help unlock items needed in their adventure. We start off with the first one that was originally going to be featured as a pro tip in last week's course. This one comes from Bunny. You can create a set it and forget it research farm that will continuously produce research bytes once you have it all set up. To get this up and running, you will need to unlock and print both the atmospheric condenser and the auto arm, along with platforms to attach them to. Set your atmospheric condenser to gather a gas that is available on the planet and then turn it on, being certain you also toggle the blue repeat button. Then set up the auto arm to retrieve the gas from the atmospheric condenser and place it in the research chamber. Turn on the auto arm and the research chamber, and you now have an automatic research byte farm. To get bytes the quickest, be sure your atmospheric condenser is set to a gas that is listed as 100 ppm. As an alternative, you could forego the auto arm by simply placing both your research chamber and atmospheric condenser onto the same platform. There are a few you can choose from, though the large T platform has both the lowest byte cost to unlock and the simplest printer recipe. Any platform with at least 2 large attachment slots will work for this alternative setup, however. Gases all have varying research byte totals and research rates. The bytes per minute research rate scales up with each increasing byte value, meaning each single gas canister will only require 2.5 minutes of research time. Hydrogen yields 100 bytes, nitrogen yields 200, argon and sulfur each yield 300, methane yields 400, and helium yields 500. Since helium is only available on one planet, Atrox, and at a low density of only 25 ppm, it may not be the best for automated research despite its higher total byte value. It takes roughly 3 minutes 20 seconds for one canister of helium to completely fill. This means your research chamber is going to be sitting idle for 50 seconds as it waits for that helium. Any gas available at 100 ppm, however, only requires around a total of 50 seconds to completely fill the canister. So in the time it takes the research chamber to fully research a single gas canister, your atmospheric condenser will have already produced 3 more full canisters ready for research. As promised, we're going to talk about the pros and cons for each setup. In this one, you are guaranteed a steady flow of truly infinite bytes because gases are the one resource type that cannot be exhausted. While it would take quite a long time to do so, every natural resource you can extract from the soil can be consumed. The atmospheric condenser, however, will continue to pull gas from the air indefinitely. This also means it is one of the few automated research solutions that is truly, as Bunny said, set it and forget it. As long as it is powered, you get research bytes. This means it can also pull double duty as it can provide gas for composite resource creation. As we mentioned a moment ago, the atmospheric condenser will produce gas canisters faster than the research chamber can research them. You can easily divert the extra gas canisters into a medium gas canister for storage and later use in resource production. In the cons column is one big glaring issue. This solution requires a lot of power. At the bare minimum, you will need to provide power at a rate of 22 units per second. Sticking to gases that are available at 100 ppm, your best bytes per minute rate will be 160. Across that 1 minute, the atmospheric condenser and research chamber will consume a total of 1,320 units of power, meaning each and every byte produced requires 8.25 units of power. That is, in my opinion, a fairly steep power requirement. Also in the cons column is the bytes and/or resources you will need to spend to create everything for this solution. Since we want this solution to run non-stop, we will most likely want to utilize several RTGs, which cost 12,500 bytes to unlock and will require a lot of resources to create the nanocarbon alloy needed for those RTGs. Granted, if you have a bunch of QT RTGs from mission and LTE rewards, this could help bring this cost down. But if you do not have those QT RTGs, your only other option would be to invest a lot of resources into wind or solar power producers, along with numerous batteries to store enough power to keep things running when wind and solar are not producing power. This too means you will be spending quite a few bytes on power producers, or taking a lot of time to scavenge through debris to find power producers. You will also have to sink a huge number of resources into battery production. Because of the potential high byte and resource costs, utilizing gas for automated research either means you will have to expend a great deal of time and energy earlier in your adventure to create this solution, or you will have to wait until later in your adventure, at which point the need to amass bytes in large numbers has significantly decreased. Our next automated research solution is one that I use in nearly every adventure as an Astroneer and is also featured later today in a quick bite course. You will need to unlock the button repeater and the proximity repeater. Then, using zinc, print one or more of each. Now it's time to head into the caves of your favorite planet and scout out a stalagmite rock formation sporting 3 or 4 research samples. Place the proximity repeater on top of the button repeater, then set that combination next to the stalagmite. Trigger the button repeater and watch as all of those research samples are consumed simultaneously and your total research bytes increases. The proximity repeater is repeatedly triggering the button repeater, which is in turn triggering the proximity repeater. This setup will automatically scan the research samples the moment they regrow, guaranteeing you a steady stream of bytes. For maximum effect, set up these repeater pairs next to several stalagmites containing 3 or more research samples. Personally, I head to the first cave layer of Glacio to set up several of these, with each stalagmite netting around 1500 bytes each time the research samples regrow. But you can choose any cave layer of any planet. Just keep in mind that digging deep into a planet may require a stronger drill mod. That is why I choose the first cave layer of Glacio. I can get there with only a drill mod 1 if necessary, and the byte value is high enough to justify the time and resources spent to set everything up. The pros for this automated research solution are fairly straightforward. You have very little in the way of byte and resource costs to create this setup. You only need 1000 total bytes to unlock the 2 repeaters and 2 zinc to create 1 of each. This setup is also highly portable, meaning you can carry everything you need in your backpack to set up multiple pairs of repeaters to scan research samples. Both the low costs and easy portability make this a great automated research solution earlier in your adventure. 1000 bytes will not require a great deal of time and effort, and the sphalerite required to create zinc is readily available on both Silva and DeSolo. In the cons column, there is one big glaring item. You will only gain research sporadically. The repeaters cannot scan the research samples until those samples have regenerated. While I have not personally timed how long it takes on average for a research sample to regenerate, my gut feeling from around 2,500 hours of time spent as an Astroneer tells me that it's roughly 30 to 45 minutes. That means you will not gain bytes nearly as quickly as the other 2 solutions presented today. There is another downside that may not be as readily apparent. If you later wish to collect resources in the same area you deployed this solution, you will need to take care to ensure that you do not dig up the rock formation that is home to the research samples being scanned by the repeater. On foot, using the train tool, that's a fairly simple thing to avoid. But if you're on a rover with a paver and drill, you may find it all too easy to run roughshod over your sensors and neighboring rock formation. Because of this solution cannot be considered truly set it and forget it, because you will need to be mindful of where it is deployed to ensure you don't dig things up. I choose this method of automated research for my adventures, as I do not personally find it compelling to amass research bytes beyond what I will need to unlock the schematics I will use and the bytes to complete limited time events. I did take on a 1 million byte challenge several years ago, and 1 time was enough for me. But many Astroneers enjoy going a bit nuts with research, which is totally fine, by the way. So let's look at one more automated research solution. As we discussed in Astroneer Academy 103, numerous Astroneers enjoy creating automated Astronium research. This will once again get into automation items that we will discuss further in a later course. For this one, you will need an auto extractor, an auto arm and its corresponding platform, along with 1 or more research chambers and enough power to keep it all running. To keep things as simple as possible, you can use an extra large extended platform which can hold both the auto arm and the research chamber. Head down to the outer layer of the core biome and locate a large Astronium deposit. Deploy the auto extractor on that Astronium deposit, then set up your platform and auto arm to ensure that it can reach the auto extractor and your research chamber. Connect up your power producers, turn on the research chamber, auto arm, and auto extractor, and then watch your bytes grow at a steady 200 bytes per minute. You can consider using a larger platform as well, since the auto extractor can collect Astronium faster than the research chamber can research it. Each Astronium requires 2.5 minutes to research, while the auto extractor will collect a full nugget roughly every 55 seconds. That means one auto extractor will produce enough Astronium to keep 3 research chambers running nearly all the time. So let's take a look at the pros and cons of this solution. In the pros column is a steady stream of bytes for a much lower byte, resource, and power cost than the atmospheric condenser solution. At the minimum, you will need to supply power at a rate of 11 units per second, and this solution will consume a total of 600 units of power in 1 minute. At 200 bytes per minute, that results in each byte costing only 3.3 units of power. Another bonus for this automated research solution can be found when we discuss the trade platform and limited time events in Astroneer Academy 202 and 401, respectively. I won't get too far ahead of our current course, but I will say it will be handy to be able to easily switch from researching Astronium to collecting it to use for trade and LTEs. Another entry for the pros column is that Astronium is readily available on any planet or moon. You do not need to worry about PPUs or limited availability. In the cons column, while this solution can be somewhat cheaper to produce than a gas-based solution, it still requires a fair number of bytes, resources, and power. That makes this solution a difficult one to recommend to an astroneer earlier in their adventure looking for a lot of bytes to simply make progress in their adventure. Additionally, Astronium only appears in the upper portion of the core biome, and that means you need to invest time to reach that biome, which in turn could require additional byte and resource costs to create the equipment necessary to reach that biome. And finally, this solution is definitely not a set it and forget it setup. While an auto extractor can collect a large number of any resource, you will have to occasionally revisit this setup to reposition the auto extractor so it can continue collecting Astronium. And even though it may take quite some time to do so, you can completely exhaust an Astronium deposit, meaning you would have to tear down your automated research solution and deploy it in a new location to continue research. As a final quick aside, gases and Astronium are not the sole resources you can use for research. As we discussed last week, every single resource has a byte value and research speed. So you can easily automate collection or creation of a given resource and use that to gain research bytes. If you are interested in using other resources for research, you can find all of their byte values and research speeds listed on the official Astroneer Wiki, which is linked in the description of every Astroneer Academy course. Whether you simply wish to have enough bytes to unlock research schematics and complete limited time events, or you want to become the first astroneer ever to accumulate a quadrillion bytes, if that is even possible, the methods you have learned today should provide you with a solid foundation for automating research. Later today, you will learn how you can quickly collect high-value research items on Glacio, plus one of the setups we looked at today will be featured in its own quick bite. Next week, in another Astroneer Academy Extra, we will discuss printers and the tier sizes of items they create. Plus, there will be yet another research-related quick bite showing you the value of watermelons found under duck butts. Trust me, that last sentence will make sense. Until then, I'm Brandon, reminding you to keep looking to the stars.